2020. I'm speaking to you today from the beautiful Chapman University campus in Orange, California. This is a place that truly inspires me. What I'd like to speak about today is leadership in the time of chaos, specifically the chaos that the pandemic has caused at universities just like Chapman all over the world. At Chapman, we made the decision to move all of our classes online on March 10th, which was a Tuesday just before our spring break. We moved all of our courses, literally thousands of them, to remote in just a matter of days. About a week or so later, our entire workforce began to work from home. Needless to say, this was a fluid and busy time. We were not a particularly remote-enabled workforce before the pandemic, yet we moved everyone to remote work, remote teaching, remote learning in just about a week. IT was at the eye of the storm during this crisis. So as the IT leader at Chapman, it was really important for me to be there for my team. I'd like to share with you some of the leadership techniques I used to support my team during this crisis. The first thing is empathy. The IT team was there to support everyone, students, faculty, and staff. So they often were in the role of caregiver, but yet they were extremely stressed too. They had to worry about their own families and their own personal lives, all while being extremely busy, while in a constantly shifting environment. As a leader, it was important for me to be there for them. So it was important for me to listen to them, to watch out for signs of stress before they raised it with me, and to be flexible. It was important for me to be visible to the team, and that was much harder in a virtual environment. So we created a weekly meeting, a check-in with all of my staff, just so that I could give them updates, but also so that I could check in and figure out what was going on with them. We used this time for those functions and also to have a little bit of fun, which was important at a stressful time like that, sharing photos of our kids, our pets, and our food, and that really helped with the team. The second thing to think about in a crisis is decisiveness. It's important in an ever-changing situation to make quick decisions. You've still got to listen to different perspectives and get input, but speed is of the essence. One thing to keep in mind is that when you make decisions so quickly, you will make more mistakes, and that's okay as long as you quickly acknowledge the mistake, recover from it, and move on. For example, during the crisis, I made a specific decision about technology to be used in the classroom. Within a couple of days, it was obvious that that was the wrong decision. So I acknowledged it, changed direction, and we moved from there. You won't be surprised to hear me say that communication is critical at a time like this. Things are changing constantly, and your team needs to hear from you about the new situation. One of the things I'd encourage you to do is to use multiple channels of communication to ensure that you reach everyone, whether you're putting things on your website or sending emails, or if you use things like Slack or Microsoft Teams, using those channels. Often in-person communication is best with your team, but in the pandemic, that's not really possible. As I mentioned, we scheduled a virtual check-in once a week, and that was a great opportunity for me to keep my team up to date as the situation evolved. Finally, I'd like to talk about relationships. One of the things that worked well for us during the pandemic is that we had already built great relationships across the organization. So when push came to shove, we knew who to call, and we had credibility with them. So if you only take one thing away from my talk, let it be this. Build relationships across your organization now. Build them before you need them. Build them with authenticity. It's not really a relationship unless it's actually genuine. So there are the four things that I encourage you to rely on during a crisis: empathy, decision-making, communication, and relationships. Practice them and you'll be well prepared for the next crisis. Thank you, and be well.